Welcome back, everyone. When it comes to your children, there is a lot of trust that is placed in adults who may help your children learn in the classroom or to develop a new skill. Tonight, we're taking a closer look into an investigation involving a now former Texas Hall of Fame basketball coach. Our media partners over at Texas Monthly looked into this story, and it's all laid out in a brand new article. Dan Solomon is one of the authors for this piece. He is joining us now. Dan, this case most recently involved charges of official oppression against Mark Myers, which he pleaded guilty to. We know that. But Texas Monthly also reports that there are allegations that go all the way back to the 90s. So walk us through a little bit of this timeline of events that got us to this point.
Sure, yeah. So the first person who came forward and talked with us had graduated from a high school in Waco where Myers had coached in 1993. And after her experience with him, there was another student at that same school who graduated in 97 who had made similar allegations and reported them to the school at the time. And the school conducted an investigation, determined that the allegations were well-founded, and before the investigation was fully concluded, he resigned his position there. He bounced around from a couple of smaller schools in the years after that, then spent quite a long time in Cedar Park, just outside of Austin. There were no allegations of a similar nature in Cedar Park, but he did leave there under kind of mysterious circumstances, and an investigation from that school found that he was accused of misappropriating funds and kind of running a pay-to-play scheme. It's important to note that there were never any charges or anything like that in that investigation, and he was hired in Lampasas, and then there were two students who both had allegations that he had them do some pretty gross stuff, or asked them to do some pretty gross stuff, and when they reported that, he was eventually fired and arrested.
You know, as you mentioned, Myers, he's worked at several schools. Your investigation found that. Is there a breakdown, you think, in communication when it comes to hiring employees who may have faced similar allegations in their past?
Well, there's not a standard system for dealing with that, especially because in Waco and in Cedar Park, where, again, there were no allegations of predatory behavior, but there were never... He resigned both positions, so there was never any sort of paper trail around that. And I can understand why there's not, but it does make it difficult for the next school to understand, like, oh, this isn't just a very successful coach who's randomly on the market. He's on the market perhaps for a reason.
I know Texas Monthly reached out to him, talked to him about these allegations that are being made against him. How did he respond?
Well, when we spoke to him, he was still awaiting his trial, which he decided to plead guilty to. And so a lot of the questions we had, he declined to answer. We reached back out after the guilty plea to try and schedule an interview with him. And he said that he didn't want to talk on the phone, but if we emailed some questions, he would try and answer those. And then he kind of let our deadline on that expire. So we never got clarification on a lot of it, but it's not for a lack of effort.
No, absolutely not. And we know that he pled guilty. You mentioned that as well. So now that the guilty plea is in, and that's what he's sort of admitted to, what does all of it mean now moving forward?
Well, it's hard to say. He's not going to coach at a high school again, I don't think, and I would be very surprised if he did. He told us that he doesn't want to, which might be true. But he still runs a club team, a club organization with a number of teams within it. And those teams are still, it's up to individual tournament organizers. He's barred from competing in official USA basketball events. His license has been suspended since he was arrested, not even since the conviction. But that doesn't mean that if somebody's hosting a private tournament for club teams in the area that he's not allowed to participate. It's really up to the tournament organizer to decide whether they want him there or not.
Yeah, all right. Very layered situation, Dan Solomon. Thank you so much for explaining it for us and for joining us tonight here on this interview here. Of course, you can read the full article on TexasMonthly.com. We'll be right back.